Well, it says we're live. And I'm hoping that we're live. Everybody has technical glitches, don't they? And I am not a technical person. I'm talking as if I'm live. Did you find me? Am I live? Would anybody know if we're live? Or am I just talking to myself? Well, today is a beautiful sunny day. It rained all day yesterday, and we're hoping, Carolyn, did you get it yet?
Haven't found us yet.
We're trying to find us so that Carolyn can get to your questions and so ask the questions, and so I can answer them for you. In the meantime, maybe I should just tell you a story. Oh, there's Al. Are we live, Al? We don't know if we're live or if we're not live. We're totally mucked up. If you can hear me, Al, and if you think that we're live, could you send me a text so that we know what we're doing? Because that would be good. Excuse me. So, anyway, all right. So I keep getting all these notifications up. I've just started my Instagram again. Hopefully I'm going to keep it up this time. I don't know what on earth I'm doing with it. I'm doing my very best. I'm just not technically minded. My daughter tells me, of course, that I'm a dinosaur, but I'm not quite as much of a dinosaur as I used to be. Are we live? Are we there?
I'm not sure.
We still don't know. We still can't find you all. Oh, we are live. Thank you, Al. Yeah. Great. All right, then. So we are live. I want to show you that. I don't know if you can see that. See that? That's my darling boy right there. He's just turned 6 years old in February. He is my pride and joy. I know he looks like an angel, doesn't he? And he's got these lovely curls, blonde curls, and everybody comes along and says, what a beautiful little girl. And we smile and we say, not so much a little girl, because he is a real boy. You know what that means, don't you? Into everything, with his trains, with that. If you gave him a doll, he wouldn't know what to do with it. So he is a real boy. Are we up? Are we live? Are we getting questions?
I'm trying to get the questions from the first show.
Okay.
They are all on that one.
If you would like to write in your questions again for us, that might be easier for us than Carolyn trying to go back. I'm so sorry about this, but we are live. We are going strong. There are no back sounds or anything like that. So are we there yet?
Yeah.
So would you, let's.
One question.
Well, if we only have one, that's all that matters. You know, years and years ago, Gregor used to say to me, if you go into a church or if you're going into an audience, if there is just one person in the audience, that's okay. Because if there's just one person in an audience that you can reach, then you've done your job. Well, it's all very well saying it, isn't it? But it's a little bit daunting when you go into a theatre, you're doing a big show, and you go into a theatre and you've not sold any tickets. And that did happen to me one time many, many years ago. And the theatre themselves actually called me up and said, would you like to cancel, Rosemary? We won't charge you anything. We won't, but we've only sold 4 tickets. And it was a huge theatre holding over 1,000 people. And I said, no, I'll go. And I went with some friends. We didn't know what quite to expect. And I joked along the way saying, I should have made some cardboard cutouts and put them in the seats, and it would have made me feel a bit better. So we really went there, really not expecting anything at all. But apparently this is quite a usual thing for this particular city. It was in Doncaster in the north of England. People don't book. They don't go until the last minute, and then they just turn up and hope that they can get in, and that's what happened. And the theatre was absolutely filled to capacity. I'm very proud of myself that I drove there, even though I thought there were only 4 people going to turn up. I was very proud that I did that, even though it would have been a bit embarrassing to me, but hey, you know, that's what we do and that's why we do it. So 4 people booked tickets. So those 4 people deserved my attention, and they deserved my time, and they deserved whatever wisdom Gregor had to share with them. So that's what we did. And it worked out beautifully. Sometimes, and this is for all of you out there, because I know, you know, we all of us have those scary moments. We all of us have those times when we're afraid to do something, or we're afraid to go somewhere because maybe if we go to a party by ourselves, or if we go to a friend's house for drinks or something and we're by ourselves, we feel a bit embarrassed going by ourselves. Much better to go with friends. But you know, when you dare, and you dare to be who you want to be, that's when things work out really, really well for you.
Twiggy Leaf.
Good morning, Twiggy Leaf.
Who said she's missing the beginning of the show, but will join us in a little while, has a question.
Well, guess what? We all missed the beginning of the show. So, all right, we'll have a question anyway, shall we?
Can you go through the rainbow and tell us what each energy color means / stands for? If it's too many colors to do them all, I mainly want to know what purple and pink are for.
Well, okay. This is about energy. This is a good question, Twiggy Leaf. You might have waited till class night to ask this question, but I'm glad you asked it on this show, because very often, you know, everything is energy. Everything about the universe is energy. Everything within the universe is energy. The universe itself is energy. We all know that. We know it is, and it is a proven fact, proven many, many times. Again, we come back to Semyon and Valentina Kirlian, that wonderful Russian couple who actually invented Kirlian photography. Their name is spelled slightly different than the camera, but still they are the same couple. And they, through their invention of this Kirlian camera, they were able to prove not only that everything was energy, but they also proved that the energy came in the forms of many, many different colors. And so it is true that those of us who see auras, when we see a person's aura energy field, that's what aura means. It's just the energy field. And our energy field, not just on us as human beings, but on our animals, with plants, flowers, etc., but especially with us as human beings and with our animals, our aura, our energy field can extend several feet beyond us, depending on how much energy we are producing, how much energy we are within us, you know, how much power we've got, in other words. And I don't mean power to do things or to do magic or anything like that, but I'm talking about the power of the energy. We're like these sort of generators, I suppose, generating this energy, and it shows in the aura. Again, the aura can be several feet beyond our human form. And this is why sometimes when, you know, you have a friend who comes, you're feeling great, you're feeling really, really great, and you have a friend who comes and the friend is feeling very down, very unhappy, or you have a friend who's very negative, and you sit with that person, and you sit with that person for maybe 10 minutes or half an hour, and off they go, and your mood has changed from positive to negative, and it's because your auras have been rubbing together, and your aura has absorbed the energy of that other person's aura. And without realizing what you've done, what we do is we allow that person's aura to influence our energy, as opposed to making sure that our positive aura, our positive energy influences that person. So not only do we feel still great when they leave, but they feel better for having come and sat with us, because they have absorbed our beautiful positive energy. I'm probably confusing all of you. I feel as if I'm doing a teaching lesson here. But anyway, so as we see auras, different types of energy often manifest themselves with different colors. So I'm just going to give you some basics. It's much more detailed than that, because if you just take one color, take the color red, all right? If you take that color red, how many shades of red are there before they start to blend into pinks or purples or what have you? But there are many different colors and different shades of every color, and every different shade tells us something more or something different about that person. So if I say to you the color pink is the color of love, without a doubt it's the color of love. But there are different shades of pink, so the different shades tell us the intensity of that love, or the purity of that love. They can tell us many, many things. So if I say pink is love, you know, it's it's a little bit more complicated than that. The color purple, I think, Twiggy, you asked about the color purple. You see the color purple often in churches, particularly in the Roman Catholic Church, the color purple is very influential. And this is because in ancient times, you know, we all knew these things. These things weren't strange to us. You didn't have somebody like me having to tell somebody else what these things meant. People knew because they were used to using their senses. They were used to using their energy. It was important to them. But you do see the color purple in many churches, and it is indicative of a very, let's say, spiritual. I hate to use the word religious because the word religion means something different to everybody, but it's a very godly or powerfully spiritual color. And again, depending on the intensity of the color, if the color is too intense or too dark, it might mean that that person is too intense in their religious, I'm using the word religious, beliefs or spiritual beliefs, perhaps a little bit too intense. Or it could mean that they are deeply, deeply religious, which is not a bad thing. You know, depending on, you know, the way people use their energy. So the color green, I mean, the color green is a calming and a very peaceful color, and it's a color that you'll often see without people even realizing it. You go into hospitals, you always used to see, I think it's a little bit different now because things are a little bit more modern, but you always used to see hospitals were painted in a very pale or a delicate shade of green or blue, because green is the color which is calming and peaceful and brings us calmness and peace, and the color blue is, of course, that healing color. And I can go on, but I'm not going to. Yes, it's too complicated, and we will be talking about this more, and I will be showing my students how to aura spot. Imagine that you can actually learn to spot auras or to see people's energy. And by seeing people's energy, you can actually, even the simplest thing, you can actually tell a person's mood by seeing their energy, but you can also see their heart by seeing energy. So we are going to, in our classes, we will be discussing that more thoroughly. So Twiggy Leaf, that's an awfully long answer to that good question, but that's all you're getting on that for now. Let's have another question.
Becca asks.
Morning, Becca.
I was wondering if I could please get a message from my two younger sisters that have passed. I miss them so very much. Thank you.
Well, as you all know, those of you who come here on a regular basis, this is not the forum to give messages. But Gregor has his hand on my shoulder, so I can tell you that your loved ones in the spirit world are fine. If you want to know more, and there, of course, there are no guarantees, we are going to be doing live. Oh gosh, I wish I could hear Al. Live events on whatever this is, YouTube, or whether we use YouTube or Zoom or whatever it is we use. We will be doing some live events. We're planning one. We were hoping to do one in April, but we're planning somewhere around, because it's my birthday in May, so somewhere around the middle of May, to celebrate the birthday, we're going to be doing our first online event where people will have a chance to ask questions and people will have a chance to sometimes get messages. So maybe that's the forum that you need to look for. Having said that, my lovely, I'm sure that they are fine. Let's have another question.
Sunshine asks.
Good morning, Sunshine. I always want to sing when you say that. Yeah.
Why do different folks have different gifts, i.e. medium, aura, tarot?
Well, the tarot card is an ancient, just like all of these things. They're ancient gifts. People expend their energy in different ways. Some people are really, really great at dowsing. I think we talked about that on whenever it was. Everything is attitude, I think. Anyway, but some people know about dowsing. Some people know about healing. But, you know, why do people have different gifts? Because they have different energies, different types of energy. They are, you know, different soul signs. Some people are more creative than others. Some people are more sensitive than others, and so on and so forth. It's like saying, why does that baker make white bread and the other baker makes brown bread? Because they can, and they can do it better. I think that's yeah. Next question.
Albertine asks,
good morning, Albertine.
In one of your books, a story about a man and his mistress and a ghost.
Oh, yes.
His grandmother helps.
Yes.
He is afraid of you. Why are some people afraid of a strong woman?
Oh, he was not afraid of me. He was afraid of what I could do. This is a great story. I can't remember the name, which book it's in, but it's a great story. I was asked to go. The story is too long to tell here, but I was asked to go to visit this man. His wife actually called me to say, could I please come to the house, because she felt that her husband was haunted and so on and so forth. So I went along, and it turned out that he was being haunted. Now, this is weird, right? When you think of somebody being haunted, you think of someone in the spirit world coming and doing the haunting. You never can imagine that someone on this earth still living can be doing the haunting. But the mind and the power of thought and the power of the mind is such a powerful and positive thing. And this man had a mistress, a girlfriend, mistress sounds so much nicer, don't you think? Anyway, so had a mistress for many, many years. Throughout his marriage, he'd been a naughty boy, but this mistress he'd had for a long, long time, maybe even 15 years. And she was getting to the point, the mistress this is, when she's, look, we've been together all these years. When are you going to leave your wife? And he must have indicated at the beginning that it would happen at some point. Of course, having no intention of ever leaving his wife. He was too comfortable with his wife. His wife was lovely. And his wife had no idea that he had a mistress. So I went into this house, and it's a very weird story, but read it. If that person who asked this question, it's Albertine, right? If you could tell us the name of the book, we could direct people to go find it, because it is a great story. But the man was not afraid of me, Albertine. He was afraid of my gift. He was afraid, especially when he realized how really, really good the gift was. And we didn't do a thing. Nothing happened until at some point, thank goodness, the dog started making noises, and the wife looked at me very apologetically, and she said, do you mind if I take the dog for a walk? And she left the house, which is when we could get down to work. Because the last thing those in the spirit world want to do, and the last thing the man's grandmother wanted to do, was to hurt the wife by revealing this man's years and years and years of infidelity. Some of you might say, well, why not? Well, it's not my job. And it's not the job of those in the spirit world to interfere in these things. You would hope that the man would actually tell his wife, but she was happy in her ignorance, and it's not for me to judge, but it is an amazing story. But the fear came from knowing that I knew what he was up to. And of course, he was a man who was a businessman, very, very successful businessman, and he thought that he could just do anything he liked and nobody would find out. I'm going to add to that story, because it's always incredible to me that people do all sorts of things. They're mean to their kids, or they kick the dog, or whatever it is they do. I mean, we all do it. We're all human. Don't think I'm judging on that. I was with a girlfriend once, and we were waiting for another girlfriend. We were going off on a trip, and we were waiting for this other girlfriend. And for whatever reason, the girlfriend was in the house, and a car was on the road. And the friend I was with was looking into this other girl's car and saying, "Look how filthy this is. Oh my, she's such a filthy person," etc., etc., etc. And I don't like that. If you got something to say to somebody, don't gossip about it to somebody else. If you've got an issue, say it to the person. And she was saying, "I don't want to get in that car. It's filthy." So I said to her, "Okay, that's not nice. And you don't have to get in the car. You don't have to come." She was, "It's all right." she can't hear, nobody can hear me. And I said, no, it isn't all right. It's mean. And she said, well, shrugged her shoulder, nobody can hear me. And I said, I think you're wrong about that. They can hear you. So when you learn, and of course, when I first really realized how clearly those in the spirit world, they not only can hear what you say, they can hear the thoughts. And thoughts are living things. They can hear your thoughts. They know what you're thinking. Boy, it was difficult for me. It was really, really difficult for me once I realized just how clearly they can hear our thoughts and our feelings and all the rest of it. And none of us are saints, and you can't be a saint all the time, and nobody's asking you to. But it does. It's a good thing to remember from time to time. Hold on, just before you think something mean about somebody, before you say something mean about somebody, do please understand that you are never alone. And somebody in the spirit world might be looking. I always feel, our angels are not judging us, but when I am mean, and I am sometimes, try not to be, that's one of the things I hate, but when I say something which is not nice, or something or when I do something that I know I shouldn't do, I know that if I look at my angels, I know that I will see the sadness in their eyes, and the sadness in their eyes is for me, because I've let myself down. That's another question.
Sarah has a question.
Morning, Sarah.
Our souls come to Earth to learn through experiences. But how do we learn in the spirit world? What kind of experiences do we get there?
A trillion. Sarah, it's a great question. But the experiences that they have, I'm going to suggest, I think I know you've read my books. Don't know if you've read all of them, but I do talk in the books about them, but there are a trillion experiences that people have. People learn to give healing. Some people learn to connect with other souls in a way that they've never connected before. We learn about our own soul, about our own energy, how to improve on who we are, how to grow more spiritual. I mean, we could go on and on and on. So there are many, many experiences, but it is a great question. Let's have another one.
Maggie has a question.
Morning, Maggie.
How can you protect your aura from those who want to suck up your good aura?
Oh, there's a question. Whoa, I love that question. Now, well, you can protect it. You definitely can, because there are people who will come, if you let them, they will drain you dry. And this is the danger with people when you're giving healing. There is a method of protecting yourself as a healer, and I always teach my students how to protect themselves when we begin the healing process. I like to protect them and to make sure and to ensure that they are not drained, that their aura is not drained. The methods that I use are certainly a little bit longer and more complicated than we can talk about here. But I can simply say, if you're not a student, I can say to you, just remember, thoughts are living things and thoughts are powerful. Also remember, people can only do to you what you allow them to do. So keep that in your mind. And you will know, if you're aware of your energy, if you're aware that your aura is very powerful, and if you're aware that your thoughts are very powerful, so keep that awareness always with you, then you will know those people who drain you, who have come attempting to drain you. Remember, people can only do to you what you allow them to do. And when that happens, or when you start to feel, or when somebody approaches you or comes to visit you who you know is a draining personality, that is that moment when you can take a deep breath, breathe in through your solar plexus. I teach my students, breathe in, center yourself, be aware that your energy is several feet, so it is going to encroach on someone else's energy. So visualize the colors, visualize that energy as being powerful and positive, gentle and loving, yes, but powerful and positive, and wear it like a shield, if you like. If you want to share your energy with others, take the shield down. Visualize this. It's a visualization technique, but it works very, very well. But if you visualize your aura growing, getting brighter, the colors getting brighter and lighter, you'll become more joyful, you'll become more positive, and that person won't be able to get in, you know. Rather, you will extend your energy to them and influence them to be more joyful and more positive. Let's have another question.
Cassie asks.
Morning, Kathy.
Cassie,
Sorry. Good morning, Cassie.
Could I get a message from my dearest childhood friend, Carol Ann?
Okay, again, I'm going to say this is not the forum for this. We don't give messages here, but I can again tell you, and Grey Eagle, I'm asking Grey Eagle, and he says yes, to tell you that you know your friend is fine, your loved ones in the spirit world are fine. But we do give messages actually occasionally on this show. I know that we do, and I have done it many times before, but because we had the glitch this morning also, we don't have as much time. But at the same time, for some reason or another, we're moving on to the next question. But please, please, all of you out there, know that your loved ones are fine. They are. And what you need to do is send out your prayers to them, just to let them know that you're thinking of them, and they'll be even more fine than ever. Let's have another question.
Okay, Sunshine had another question. Since it appears you have used your gifts well on Earth, will you become a spirit guide for another like Grey Eagle?
That question must be directed at me. No, I don't think so. I'm not nearly as wise, not nearly as proficient. I don't think so. I think I've got so much more to learn, and so much more growing, and so much more growth. A spirit guide is a highly evolved spiritual being. It's like saying, again, I always try to liken this to, you know, you go to the hospital and you've got the head of the hospital. Let's say you've got the chief heart surgeon right there, and you're a first year student or a second, or even maybe if you're a third year student. You can't expect the head of hospital to walk around with you teaching you your job, can you, or giving lessons to you, because it's not going to happen. They have much more important things to do, which is why I say to people, those people who have a spirit guide are those people who work full-time in the spiritual realm, as do I. However, Greg was laughing at, because I'm now deciding, am I a fourth year student or a fifth year student? Not quite sure where I am, but I would guess I'm a teacher, but I haven't achieved professorship yet. No, I got a long way to go. But it's very sweet of you to ask the question. Let's have another question.
Martha would like to know.
Good morning, Martha.
Is having ringing in the ear a sign spirit is around?
Well, you could have tinnitus, of course. It could be a sign of tinnitus or tinnitus, however you want to say it. It depends, actually. It depends where you are. It depends what you're doing. It depends what you're thinking. But it is a possibility. It is a possibility, because we do hear. I'm not sure that through the... See, people say to me, well, how do you hear? And sometimes I do hear with my ear, with my human ear. Sound goes in there, as it does when I'm listening to anybody and everybody. But sometimes the sound, remember, everything is energy. So it's more like sound waves. I think it's a bit like, you know how dolphins hear the sound, sort of sonar sound. It sort of seeps through their skin, and they hear because it seeps through their skin. And that's the best way I can tell you that so there are different ways of hearing. So whether or not it's a sign, it depends what you're doing, it depends what you're thinking. But apply the 3-time rule. If you think that's what's happening when it happens the first time, okay, maybe. If it happens a second time, then pay attention. If it happens a third time, accept it, that it's a sign that you should be paying attention, and then move on. That's what I always say to people, apply the 3-time rule. Let's have another question, shall we?
Sunshine and Maggie are both inquiring. If the spirit world ever asks you,
me,
to ask a living person What in the heck were they? What are you thinking?
All the time. It's like all the, what?
Yes. The original
All
question.
the time. You mean when people come to me for consultations,
Right.
and they do something which is really dumb or stupid? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the folks on the other side ask questions of you sometimes, and then it went further?
Yes, they do.
Yes.
They do. Yes, I'm always being asked questions. When I'm in a consultation, though, all right, here's the thing. When people come to me for a consultation, I think most people think that my responsibility is to try to give them what they want, and that is not my responsibility. My responsibility, first and foremost, during consultations is to give the spirit world what they want, and what they want is what they need. So I pay attention to the spirit world, and you know, we have an example of, I'm not going to say when it happened, but we have an example of a lovely, lovely person who was extremely misguided. She'd been to lots of different people. She'd read lots of different things. I'm going to be very careful how I put this. She'd read lots of different things, and she had come to many conclusions about her own spiritual growth and evolution, and also about, you know, the spirit world itself. And she was very, very excited, this person, to talk to me. I did not want to dampen her enthusiasm, but in all truth and in all honesty, and because the spirit world would not allow it, I gave her the choice. You know, if you continue with this consult, I don't want to disillusion you, but I don't want you to be under the apprehension that what you believe is what is real, because some of the stuff was just too beyond crazy. And I was asked by the spirit world to give her that choice. I felt that I needed to give her that choice. She chose to continue, and we had, I think we had a great, great session. However, she went away understanding that imagination plays an enormous part in, you know, in to what we learn, what we know of the spirit world. We all know this. I'm not saying anything that we don't know. There are teachers out there. I don't know if they just make it up as they go along. I don't know where people get ideas from. And I'm not disparaging other people's ideas or beliefs. If that's what you believe and it works for you, that's great. But if you come to me, I can only tell you what I know and what I believe. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what the spirit world feels that you need to hear. And sometimes it's not easy. But my first and foremost responsibility is to make sure that those in the spirit world have a voice. That's what I do. I am their voice. Another question. Do we have another question? Is anybody else there? Or did we lose everybody when we sort of went blank?
Oh, no, everybody's come back.
Okay, great. All right.
Daniel wants to know.
Daniel or Danielle?
Daniel.
Daniel, good morning, Daniel.
What happens to evil people?
Oh, well, now there's a question. It's a really good question. And I do address this a little bit in soul signs, because in soul signs we learn that there are what Grey Eagle has taught me. We call them dark souls. Most of us are souls of light, but there are in fact souls of darkness. And what happens to them is they go back to the dark. I don't think, you know, they burn in the fires of hell. I don't think that wouldn't that be nice? That was not a nice thought right there. I don't think that, you know, they are punished necessarily for their evil deeds, because dark souls are souls who come to this earth for the same reason that we all do. We who are souls of light, they come for learning, they come for growth, they come to, but whereas most of us come to learn to be more light, to be more positive, to be more beautiful, to build our souls into something that's light and pure and God-like. Dark souls come to this earth for the opposite reason. They come to learn how to be more dark, to be more of who they are. And I do talk about this more in Soul Signs. It's a difficult subject because I know that many people would much prefer. When I wrote A Matter of Life and Death, which is one of my books, and in A Matter of Life and Death, there is a true story, and it happened here in Florida, about two girls, two young women, and a man whose name is Charles Brandt. And if you go into the FBI files, you can read all about him. He's one of the, I think he might be on the top of the list of, serial killers anyway. And he, thank goodness, he's dead, hung himself in the end when he got caught. But there is such a thing as evil. But when I was called in to deal with this, which we did, and it was very, very traumatic, and it's a very powerful story. And I know, because I got emails from people saying, oh, I used to love your books because they're always full of light and love and so on and so forth. But I did put this story in, first of all, because it is a true story and a very powerful story. And it's a story that tells how mediums like myself can go into places where things are not so happy, where there are dark souls and evil lurking, because it's real. But I know that there are many people who, thank goodness not too many, but there were enough people who wrote to me who said, I loved your books because they were always full of light and all the rest of it, but I really didn't like this and it wasn't nice, and you shouldn't write something like that. Now, if you read to the end of the story, it is filled with light, and it talks about how good does triumph over evil most of the time. But let's be real about this. I mean, you've got Hitler, you've got Pol Pot, you've got all of these evil, evil, dark souls that have invaded this world of ours from time to time. So it's my job to, let's not pretend it's all love and light. I've got to be real about it. And I always feel that if you know that there is evil there, it's like we teach our children, don't talk to strangers, because we need them to know that doing that is dangerous. And so in my job, I do need people to understand that, there are dark forces out there and we should be aware of them all the time. Having said that, not wanting to make anyone afraid, good, the light always overcomes the dark, always. And I always say to people, okay, you've got two rooms joined. There's a wall between them. One is a room filled with light. The other is a room filled with dark. So one is a beautiful, brilliant, bright light. The other is black. If you knock a hole through that wall, or if you open the door between the dividing door between the rooms, what will happen? Will the dark invade the light? No. Light spills out into that dark room and obliterates it. So the light is much more powerful. So you never, ever need to worry about that, ever.
Julie has a question.
Morning, Julie.
Is it possible to heal a relationship between the two worlds, one that didn't get the chance here?
I think she means to heal between two people.
Yes, I believe that.
So someone has passed, but left behind angst or whatever it is, or there was an argument between you, and then before you got it sorted out, one of you, as we say in England, pops the clogs. Is it possible to heal that relationship? Is it possible to heal that rift? Absolutely, yes, it is. Remember what I just said a few minutes ago. Your thoughts, your words, your deeds, you are never alone, and there are always those watching. So simply sit quietly in a room, just sit for 10 minutes, and that person that you are having issues with, or that you had issues with, that you would like to, spend time to heal that relationship, just send out a prayer. I hope you're okay, and I do love you, and I'm sorry that, we had this conflict or whatever it is you want to say to that person, and start to talk to them. More importantly, start to listen, because if you do it often enough, long enough, 10 minutes every day is enough to do, but when I say long enough, over a period of, it could take you a week or two, it could take you months, my students are learning to do this even as we speak. This has been our exercise, learning how to connect with, to listen to, and to be attentive of what is around. And excuse me. So, you've got to give it the time it needs, which is 10 minutes every day. Who can't find 10 minutes in the day? You'd be amazed how many people can't. But if you want to heal a relationship, that's what you do. You just sit and you say to this person, I don't know if you're here or not. I haven't come for anything. I'm not come to ask you anything. I've just come here to sit with you because I love you. And that is healing in itself. And that's what you need to do.
Albertine said, thank you. The book is You Own the Power.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Right. What was the story again? Oh, the man with the mistress. Yes. Oh, yeah, you should read that book. It's such a great book. Anyway.
Wendy asks.
Good morning. And if I can come to, if you don't know where to find the books, email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, or go to lulu.com/rosemaryaltea. But if you're having a struggle, email us. I'm going to say call. You can't call us. Email us, and we'll either send you a book, because we've got some here. You send you a book, or you have to pay for it. But it's not actually very much. It's an old book, so we let you have it really, really for a really good price. But it is a great story. Sorry, Wendy. Good morning, Wendy.
Rosemary, did your daughter and/or grandson inherit your abilities?
Oh, yes. All right. So, where's the new book? Can you find me? I had it a minute ago. A Walk in the Clouds. So this is my latest book. So somebody said to me yesterday, you need to hold up your book when you're talking about it. You're absolutely right. Do we have a You Own the Power there as well? This is A Walk in the Clouds. This is the latest one. And it's the first time I've actually properly written anything real about my grandson, because he's only 6. So, but my daughter always used to, we don't have it there, never mind. My daughter always used to see her grandfather, her silly grandpa, my father. And she definitely has a gift, because she has flashes of insight, like seriously clear insights. When she was about 10, I remember I was going to go off to visit a friend, and she looked at me and she said, Mummy, I can see you parked at the traffic lights and the car is broken down. And I was rushing, right? I was rushing. I was late. And I said, oh, don't say that. Don't say that. And I rushed out the door. And about, I'm going to say 20 minutes later, I'm driving through the middle of the city of Leicester in England, where I was born, driving through traffic jams. It was like 6 o'clock at night on a Saturday night, and it was just everybody going home. And where was I? Sitting at the traffic lights, broken down. The funny thing, let me tell you the funny thing about that is that across, and it was a busy street, like, I'm going to say, 3 lanes on either side, so a 6-lane major road. And I managed to cross the road, not so easy because the traffic. Somebody helped me to push the car to the side of the road. And there was a phone box. This is in the days when there were not cell phones. Can you imagine the days when there were not cell phones? Anyway, so there was a phone box. So I dashed across, taking my life in my hands, I might say, to the phone box to call my friend to say help. And I'm standing there, and it's like 6 o'clock at night in the wintertime. It's dark. The traffic's going crazy. I'm by myself, don't know quite what to do. And all of a sudden, I heard this singing. And there was this whole crowd of Hare Krishnas, and they were going around and around the telephone box. Not one of them said to me, do you need any help? But still, they were singing Krishna, Hare Krishna, that song, hey, hey, hey. And it's a memory that stuck in my mind. Does Reese have a gift? Read this. It's he. Oh yeah, definitely. So my darling daughter and my darling grandson both have inherited, yes. But my grandson, wow, he can blow you away. He blows us away all the time.
Annette asks.
Good morning, Annette.
And Martha was also asking.
Okay.
Are the 3 days of darkness true? I see all these videos about rapture happening very soon. It's made me very upset.
You know, it's a little bit like the Jehovah who, when I was a teenager, they were telling these stories of, you know, is it Armageddon or whatever it is? Anyway, I'm not sure where I am or which religion I'm talking about now. But you know, that the angels will sound the trumpets, and the dead will arise, and all of those who are Jehovah's will continue and carry on, and all the rest of us are going to stay in our boxes. What I do not mean to be disparaging of anybody else's religious beliefs, but I can tell you that I know it's not true, because the dead have already arisen, because they were never buried in the box in the first place. I mean, we do bury the body, but not the spirit. And I talk to people all day, every day, who are not waiting in the dark ground for Gabriel to play his horn or his trumpet or whatever it is. They are living, breathing, active, learning, growing. So I see this all the time. So the 3 days of darkness, I don't know what it is. Some people just feel the need to sort of spread doom and gloom. And I can tell you also this much. When we pass, unless of course you are a dark soul and you don't want this to happen to you, if you're a dark soul anyway, but when you pass, every one of us, our angels surround us, and we are surrounded in light. So even if we've only got 3 days to live, or 6 days to live, or 6 minutes to live, or whatever it is, we're going to end up in the light anyway. Please do not let somebody else's silly beliefs affect you in this way. You know, one thing the spirit world has taught me, and the one thing that my spirit guide Gradle has taught me, is we don't do the doom and gloom. We do hope. We do love. We do kindness. We do gentleness. So even if, and there have been times, and especially with my patients, even if you have to say to somebody that, you know, that they don't have too much longer to go. And I have had patients, one patient who said to me, will you come on the train with me? And I did actually go on the train with him. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But even, you know, even if we do have to say to someone, you know, your time is coming, we do it in the kindest and the gentlest way. And, you know, and that is when our loved ones in the spirit world come to us, and they give messages of joy. And, you know, we're really looking forward to you coming. We're going to have a party, this sort of thing. We don't scare people or frighten people. That's not what this is about. So, my lovely, whoever, wherever you are, and whoever you heard that from, if you can, you know, these little seeds are so dangerous, and they really do a number on our brain, on our mind, on our heart. Don't let them do a number on you, my lovely, because it's not true. How about that?
Kristen had a comment.
Morning, Kristen. Oh, a comment. I love comments. It better be a nice one. I hope it's.
I do not have a question, just a comment.
Okay.
I love your answer to the spirit world, telling us basically we need to get our stuff together.
Oh, yeah.
And you look amazing.
Oh, bless you. Thank you very much. Do you like the yellow? It's a yellow, canary yellow. I always feel I wear black, and there are people who say, oh, my daughter will sometimes say, because she thinks I look like a bee in yellow and black. But I love the combination of yellow and black. Thank you, darling, for that. And I hope you're enjoying the show. So let's have another question. Let's keep them coming.
Tanya asks, are money magic spells a bad idea?
Are what?
Are money magic spells a bad idea?
I use magic all the time. I use magic on my children, my patients. Magic is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Whatever you think works, it's the power of the mind and the power of thought. I always tell people, make a card. You know that one. If you go back and look at these YouTubes, you'll find the one where I talk about positive thinking and making a card which creates for you the opportunity to change your life and to sort of give you the push that you need to change your life. And often people will put inside the card that they make, you know, $5,000 in the bank or $5 in my purse, whatever it is that you need. They'll use the card for that. I once had a client come to me and she told me she was a white witch. And, you know, this was like almost at the end of the session, and she was talking about her beliefs. And, you know, if it works for you, why not? If it works for you and it's good and it's coming from a good place and it's coming from a place of light, if it's coming from a place of kindness, why not? The power of the mind is the most powerful, positive thing. The power of thought is the most powerful and positive thing. Whether that thought is negative or positive, if you keep it positive, it will bring positivity to you. If you keep it negative, it will do the same thing. It will bring you negativity. So, you know, magic is only a wish, a hope, a thought, right? So if it works for you and it's good and it's coming from a good place and it's not hurting anyone else, go for it.
Daniel has another question.
Morning again.
Do young kids that pass grow up in the spiritual world?
That's a good question, Daniel. I often ask that question, and I think I might have answered it before on one of these YouTube shows, but some children do continue to grow. Very often, if those children have siblings, they'll grow along with their siblings. They'll go to school with them. They come home and they play with them. They'll, believe it or not, yes, Gregor says, and they eat popcorn sometimes with them watching TV or going to the movies. And they grow with them because sometimes those children who we've lost take it into their heads that they want to help their siblings. They even want to be an angel for their siblings, meaning their guide, someone who will be by their side to steer them. And that happens very often. And as it happens, that child will decide to grow as their siblings grow. But there are children, and I have met them, who for whatever reason, and everyone has a different reason for doing things, don't they? But for whatever reason, they've decided to stay just as they are. So it's a yes and a no. So it very often with siblings, you'll see that child grow. And I also remember a lovely young lady coming to me. She'd lost her son when he was, I'm going to say, less than a year old. She didn't have any other children. She only had this one child, but she kept him alive in her mind, in her heart. She kept all his baby things. She would sit and talk to him quite often. And anyway, I didn't know that she'd lost a son. And she came to see me. She sat down, and the first thing I saw was this very tall young man who told me that he was her son. It gave me his name and so on. And she sort of looked at me and she said, well, you know, I did lose my son, but he was a baby. And I said, smiling, not anymore. He's grown as you've grown, and he stayed with you, and he's grown as you've grown. And he then went on to tell her things that left her in no doubt that he truly was her son. So it's choices. It's a good question. I like that question. Yes. Next question.
Inquiring on how to schedule an appointment with Rosemary, email the office at rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, please.
All right. Wait, hold on one second. So we're obviously getting people asking. All right. So consultations, just so you know, I am not cheap, I'm afraid to tell you. So am I worth it? A lot of people think I'm worth it. So what I try to do with my consultations is, if it works, you pay me. If it doesn't work, I give you back your money, because I'm all for, you've got to be satisfied with what you get. And the reason I'm saying this to you all is because I know that lots of you go out and you have these, you know, consultations, or call it what you like, some people call them readings or sittings or whatever it is that you have with other people. If it's not satisfactory, please tell that person, sorry, this didn't work for me, this is not right, this is not real, and that person should then give you your money back. Somebody who's real and who's good will actually tell you up front straight away if it's not, because I always tell people before we begin, if it doesn't work, I shall refund your fee. Even though I might spend an hour or two with a person, if I didn't manage to connect in some way for that person, I'm not going to charge you. And that's what you should be looking for when you go out there, not just with me, but with anybody. If you want a consultation, email us at the office, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. For anything else, if you want to know any more about the lessons or the events coming up, just again email us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, and Carolyn will answer you, won't you, my dear?
Yes.
That's another question then, or a comment, or anything we'll take.
Let's see. Daniel says, thanks for answering my questions. I'm getting really into it recently.
Oh, well, good. Good.
And let's see. We're running out of questions. It's almost time. It's noon. Let's see. My sister follows the first people / Native American ways and says never use bad, for it will return to you. Question for Gray Eagle. Is my family related to a wonderful shaman? We have been told so.
Well, first of all, let me just say, we've talked today about thoughts are living things, and thoughts go out into the universe. Positive thoughts go out, negative thoughts go out. They reach the person that thought is meant for, can do damage or can do good, depending on whether it's a negative thought or a positive thought. But because it's our energy, and thoughts are tiny pulses of energy, because it is our energy, it will, as it goes out into the universe, it gathers like energy. So if it's positive energy, it will gather positive energy. If it's negative energy, it will gather negative energy, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Touch that person, affect that person that thought is meant for, towards, or that event, or whatever it is that you're sending that thought out to. But it will return to you. So be very careful, because if your thoughts are negative or mean or harmful in any way, they will go out, they will reach that person, and they'll come back and hit you full force, at least twice as hard as it ever will touch anybody else, which is why I always say to people, negative energy will damage you the most, positive energy will create the best in you. So
Brooke says to tell you
hold on one second. So the question of the shaman, it's a hard one for me, but without going into too much detail, I'm going to say a tentative yes. Let's have another question.
It's a comment. Brooks says you are always so well dressed.
Oh, well, I hope so on telly.
And Twiggy Leaf is inquiring, how's your finger doing?
Well, you know, it's funny you should say that, because it's really been see, I've actually started, I'm able now to wear a ring, but it's a narrow band. It's doing beautifully. Let's say thank you, Twiggy. It's only a finger, right? You've heard me say that. It's only a finger. It could have been a kidney, couldn't it? And then I would be dead, because I've only got one. Or it could have been a lung or whatever. It's only a finger. But thank you, darling, for asking. It's sort of getting better, a little better every day. So we've come to a close. Thank you all for joining us. If you want to know more about us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. If you want to know about the latest book, it is called A Walk in the Clouds. And of course, it's got the feather, because all my books have the feather. And I love the book, actually. It's a really nice book. If you want to know more about me, go on to my Facebook page, go on to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I'm starting with Instagram. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to get someone who knows what they're doing. If anybody out there wants to help me with my Instagram, just let me know. Email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. Let's see what we can get from that. And if you need to know any more about us, let's see, what else do we do? If you want to know more about the classes, they're called the Soul Evolution. And if you want the link for that, we can certainly send that to you also. So, you know, we're doing so much. I know that most people of my age, I'm a very old lady, most people of my age are retiring, and I'm getting a second wind or a third or a fourth or whatever it is, but I'm keeping going until I can't go any longer. Thank you all for watching. And until I see you again next week, remember, Everything is Attitude is on a Friday night with Al Pisano, who we can't hear today, but that is at 6 o'clock Standard Eastern Time. That is in USA on the East Coast, 6 o'clock. Everything is Attitude. I think you'll find that on Facebook, on my Facebook. We've got lessons tonight for any students who are listening, so I'm looking forward to our lessons tonight. And what else are we doing here? I think that's pretty much it. Keep checking with us, because we'll let you know when our events are happening and when our online big event is happening, where we're going to be talking, taking questions from people, and maybe giving messages. You never know what happens at these things, do you? So until I see you all again, please, please, please have a very, very, very blessed day. I've got to find that little arrow now. Where is it? It's down there somewhere. There we are. Have a very blessed day, everybody.